the
Mhm.
fan
Oh,
above your head going. It's a bit
uh-huh.
funny for the
Oh,
camera.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you. I'll move it down.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh, yeah, that will make people seasick.
yeah.
Cheers, everyone. As you watch us fix my camera. I am Amy Mitchell with Houses of Windsor, and this is Virtual Tea Time with Amy. And today I have a super special guest. I have Rafael dos Santos, and I'll let him tell you where he's calling from. So, Rafael, thank you for being on. What are
Yeah.
you drinking, and where are you?
Okay, so I am in England, in Hampshire, not very far from the sea, so near Portsmouth.
Okay.
Portsmouth, Winchester, so for people that know the area. And what I'm drinking, so especially for tea time, I have my cup of Earl Grey. I love Earl Grey.
Oh, very nice. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Very
So
British.
what are you having?
So I am having actually a just a plain black tea, and then I put sugar and milk in it to be
Okay.
especially British
I
for today.
learned it took me a few years to remove the sugar. So I take no sugar anymore with
Hmm.
tea. It took
That's
me a
good.
long time to get. So when I first arrived here, I'm Brazilian. So when I first
Hmm.
arrived here 18 years ago, I used to put 4 spoons of sugar in my
That's
tea.
great.
Yes.
That's
And,
great.
and then reduce. Now I have
Right.
no sugar at all.
That's really good. Yeah, I think I started drinking tea around 2006 maybe. And I tell people that I eased into it basically by drinking hot sugar water because I just put tons of sugar in it. It's like not tea anymore by that point. So like you, I slowly, yeah, backed off, but I still put a little bit in.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But awesome. So, are you on holiday there, or because you
No,
live in
so
London, right?
I live in London. Yeah, so I
Hmm.
normally live in South London, but I came to visit my in-laws. So they
Okay,
live, yeah, so they have a very beautiful property that was built in 1395.
that's amazing.
So yeah, it is, yeah, exactly.
You're gonna shock all the Americans.
it, it's almost as old as Brazil, the property. So, but it's a beautiful, yeah, it's a very beautiful place.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm
Yeah.
jealous.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's
Well,
nice. It's surrounded by an amazing English garden, so
yeah.
it's really nice.
And what's the weather? I know it's in the evening now for you, but what's the weather in the daytime out
It
there?
was beautiful. So we had the sunlight until about 8 o'clock tonight.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was absolutely stunning. So we went for a
Oh,
walk. Yeah, we saw lots of cows because we're in the English countryside.
yes.
You can get
I love how you can just walk all around.
Yeah, we can't get more English than that. So we went for a walk. We saw lots of cows, and then we went for a pub dinner.
Mhm.
We had fish and chips.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That's awesome.
It was all very traditional, yes. Apart from the afternoon, so our nephews came,
Mhm.
and then we were in the pool for
Oh,
about an
okay.
hour and a bit. Yeah, so
Oh,
before we
nice.
went for a walk and then
Right.
dinner in the pub.
So they have a pool there at the house?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, very nice. How often, because you don't see that a lot in England, right? Like a pool?
No, yes, you have to be
Like,
exactly, and
how long in the year do you get to use it?
it's slightly heated, so it's
Oh,
okay.
right. Yeah, okay.
It has to be, otherwise it's too cold. No,
Oh, right, right.
I think you can probably use from April, because I think if it wasn't heated, then probably you
Oh,
wouldn't, but
right.
from April until about September.
Oh, okay. So that's
Yeah,
like roughly a lot of the states. I mean, I'm in Florida, so we have lots of warm weather year round.
yeah, I'm
But
sure.
I'm from up north in Indiana, and yeah, like there are a decent amount of people with pools, but not nearly as many as here, of course. But yeah, mainly pool season is like May to September, like especially like if it's the public pools, they like, open Memorial Day, close Labor Day, our holidays. So,
Yes. Yeah, it's
um,
not it's unusual, it's very
yeah,
unusual to have. You need to have
yeah,
a very big garden like they do.
right, right.
Um, and also obviously the weather here, people don't just, they don't get both because the weather is not great.
Right, right. That's awesome. Well, you've got some good in-laws, it sounds like.
Lovely.
Awesome. So, okay, so I did watch your TEDx talk, which was
Oh,
awesome.
thank you. Thank you.
So everyone should watch that. And I'll put the link in here later. But so do you want to talk about, let's see, why don't you talk about like what you're doing now, your business now? Because I think it's pretty
Sure,
cool.
sure. So my business is called Guided PR. So it's a tech platform, guidedpr.com. And what we do is we connect journalists with small business owners, and we teach or we guide the business owners on how to create content to share with the media.
Okay.
So, because everybody that we know that is famous is because we see them in the media, either on the
Mm-hmm.
paper or the newspaper, the magazine, or TV. So, what I thought that is a challenge there because it's expensive to pay PR agencies. Not
Mm-hmm.
everyone has the budget,
Right.
and I know the feeling of when you see yourself like being featured in Forbes and Financial Times and BBC. It gives you the amazing feeling of pride, of achievement. So number one is I wanted to transfer that feeling and give that feeling to small business owners. And I
Mm-hmm.
also had to, what I want is to find a way to help them to be in the media without the high price tag of PR agencies.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is I automated. So guided PR is like an automated PR assistant that
Mm-hmm.
finds the opportunities and teaches you how to create, how you can turn your expertise into content to share. So that's what I do. I
Right.
love what I do. I could live and breathe PR 24 hours.
That's really cool.
Yeah. But I think for me, the best thing is I know how they feel. I know,
Mm-hmm.
because I had a lot of clients featured in Forbes and BBC and the Daily Mail. And, I had people that call me screaming, "Oh my God, I just saw myself on Forbes." It is because I think for business owners, they don't have a boss to tell them they're doing a great job. Congrats.
Right.
Like
That's a good
normally
point.
you have
Right.
employees. Exactly. So I think the media, being featured in the media is a way for the small business owners to be awarded. Look how great you are, experts. You know what you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about. So you have someone else then portraying that. I think is very important. And great environment. Everybody loves being featured.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gets very happy.
Right.
So it's I love it. I absolutely
That's
love it.
that's really really cool. Yeah, I like the idea, and I signed up because you sent me the link. So I signed up, and I just thought it was really, I guess, like painless, but also still like detailed. So I'm someone who doesn't like forms, filling things out.
Good.
So that's why I wanted to like tell everyone it's very painless to sign up, and also but you can tell that it's detailed for what it needs to be, like you're not
Yeah.
yeah, you make it very easy to specifically say what it is that your industry is, type of thing. So very
Oh,
good job.
good. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So when did you start this? Because I'm guessing the tech behind it takes a little while to
Oh my
actually
God,
get made,
yes. No,
right?
no. I know when people say, "Oh, it's the success overnight," but it took 30 years to get there. So it actually took. So I was with another business in PR before, and it got evolved to be what it is now. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been 2.5 years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's still not quite what I wanted to be. I don't think any entrepreneur will be entirely 100% happy. There's always something missing,
Right.
but it does the job at the moment. It's what we call MVP, which is a minimal viable product, so people can use. It's very functional. But because I'm in PR, it's all about the image. It's not as pretty as I want.
Right.
It doesn't have it, but it's getting there. Yeah, because it's
Right.
for tech. People, I think even I underestimated how much money in
Mm.
professionals are needed to make a website sleek and really,
Right.
really beautiful. So I completely underestimated that. But now at least I have lots of conversations with investors. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully I will be able to raise the first round.
Okay.
But it's working. So people are getting
That's
featured.
right. That's
That's
really great.
uh,
That's awesome. And I guess I forgot to tell everyone that I met you when I virtually visited BNI
Yeah.
and in London. And you guys are called the City Lunch Group, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So the City Lunch chapter of BNI in London. Now that we're all virtual in BNI, it's really cool because now we can visit chapters around the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
And when I realized that, I was like, oh, I have to go. I have to find a chapter in London. So
Good. And you visited mine, so that's really
I
good.
know, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like your guys was the right time and looked like a good amount of people, of
Yeah.
members. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I was looking for. Because it's at 10:30 in the morning your time, right?
Yeah. So
So
what
that
time was it for you then? How
so it
many hours behind were you?
started so it started at 5:30 in the morning for me.
Wow, you're very king.
I know. And then I had
Good.
my own BNI right after at 7:15.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
I
So
was
that's good.
tired later.
Good. Good. Good timing. I suppose if you go to bed early.
But so how long have you been in BNI and like kind of what's your BNI story?
So I had a property business before, so for 12
Mm-hmm.
years when I first arrived in the UK. After about 2 years, I then started it, and then it was 2008 that I was introduced to BNI,
Oh,
and
okay.
then I think by 2010 I became a chapter director. I don't know if you call
Oh, wow.
president. There are different,
Yeah,
in the
yeah. Oh,
UK
yeah.
they have a different
We
name.
have presidents here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I became a chapter president, and then I became a local, not local, a area director or an area
Oh, yeah.
president.
Right, right.
So yeah, um, that was 2012 or 13. But
Mm-hmm.
then I started getting really tired of my business and really tired of waking up at 6 in the morning to be there at
Mm-hmm.
7. So I
Right.
did that for 4 years every Thursday. So it's like,
Right.
so I found the chapter, there was lunch, and then I started
Mm-hmm.
going. So it was 12, 12+1. And then this one I think is brilliant. It's just the right time. Half 10 to 12 is so much better.
Yes.
Um, so I came back. So I had a break after 2012. So I had a break of
Mm-hmm.
8 years. And then I launched a new business, and I thought there is no better place
Right.
than BNI to start building network
Absolutely.
again. And here we are. So yeah, I love it. I have 7,000 people connected with me on LinkedIn,
Oh my gosh.
and I would say at least 3,000 of those are BNI people that I met.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
really cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very
Th-
big network.
Right, right. That's amazing. And like I said, I just popped into your chapter and like made all kinds of connections like immediately. And I mean, you introduced me to Jane, who people will get to know more later. But
Yeah.
the, English cream tea company, that was so cool that yeah, and very nice of you to introduce me to her. So
Right.
thank you.
Well, it's the BNI culture, isn't it? You're
It
there, you tell me what
is.
you want, if I know, if I can make the intro, if I can make it happen. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's
Right.
very
So
cool.
that's great. So, okay. So we've talked about business. Now it's time for the main part of the show. Okay. What is your special interest or hobby or obsession? Like, what's your thing that, is like your special thing?
Um, well, my hobby, so my husband and I travel a lot. So
Hmm.
we've been together for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And we've been, well, together and separate, I think we've been to about 60 countries. So we travel a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think, apart from very few countries in Europe,
Hmm.
but we've been a lot, and we love it. I think anyone should, that have the opportunity should
Right.
travel,
Right.
because you learn, I think of what I like most about travel is food. It's
Yeah.
amazing to buy food in different countries. Yeah. I think food and architecture are, for me,
Hmm.
are the key things. It's nice. Like I've been to Paris. Paris, I think I've been about 35 times.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a shame because before, when I had my Brazilian passport, I
Hmm.
had all these stamps. So I had
Oh,
two
yeah.
passports because I traveled so much. I had, and it was a shame because with the British passport now, I don't,
Yeah.
they don't stamp
Oh,
anything
they
in the
don't?
show.
Oh.
It was nice it was so nice to have all those
Right,
stamps.
right.
And I remember my dad loved looking at all the stamps. And
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
yeah, travel travel is the best thing. I think food, I think the way is one of the things that you learn a lot is there is no right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody eats the same thing. Everybody
Oh,
eats
right.
chicken, everybody eats carrots,
Oh,
everybody
right.
eats eggs. It's the way that they prepare is different, you say.
Right.
So, and I think that's what makes very interesting. I remember when I moved to England, and then my grandmother used to ask, that sometimes I used to call her because at the very beginning there was no internet, it was
Right.
actually phoning.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, what do you eat there? It's like, do you eat eggs and carrots? And then when the whole thing about YouTube started getting more and more popular,
Mm-hmm.
then I started doing videos just
Hmm.
to tell people, it's like, okay, what I eat here. So I drink tea and I drink milk and I have a porridge in the morning. It's like, just, it's normal. I think it's just the way that people prepare things is different. Like if you go to Russia or a lot of the Eastern European countries,
Mm-hmm.
beetroot soup is huge.
Oh,
So they
wow.
have beetroot before any meal. They have in the breakfast, they have for
Really?
lunch, they have for dinner. Yeah. So
Oh.
beetroot soup. It's delicious. Some are
Mm-hmm.
thick, some are thin, some are just like juice. It's very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. So and it is just like, um, and if you walk around, for example, if you walk around Moscow, depending
Mm-hmm.
on where you are, it is just so stunning. The streets are stunning, the buildings
Mm-hmm.
are so stunning. It's very funny. There are buildings that have paintings outside as if like museum paintings.
Right.
So the city looks, it's very wealthy, you can
Mm-hmm.
tell. um and if you go to Budapest, for example, which they call the
Mm-hmm.
Paris of the East, is one of the
Oh,
most
okay.
stunning
And
cities
yeah.
in Europe. Yeah, it's so beautiful. So it's just like, I think that's why it's very interesting. My husband and I, when we travel, we walk a lot and we look at the buildings, we see the
Mm-hmm.
difference, and then we try different food, and then you go out in the evening, and it's
Right.
nice traveling because you can approach people and say, hi, I'm from England, I'm here for, it's like getting in a bar. And
Right,
so
right.
I love it. Yes, I absolutely love it. I lived in the US
That's so.
in 2014. I lived in the
Oh,
US,
really?
yeah, for
Oh, wait,
six
I
months.
did hear you say that in your TED talk. You mentioned that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So
how
I
long were
lived
you here?
there. I was there for 6 months.
Okay.
So, and funnily enough, I stayed mainly in Kentucky.
Oh, no. That's
I know,
amazing.
when I say that, people
That's
go like, "Why? Why
that is
Louisville?"
such a funny, yeah. So
Yeah.
how did you land in
No,
Kentucky?
I launched the tech business, and there was an accelerator there, and there was
Hmm.
funding from. So I lived in Louisville, but I
Yeah.
worked in Indiana. So
Oh, okay. Yep.
I crossed the bridge every day by
Yeah.
bike. It was an amazing experience. It was brilliant.
That's so cool.
But I traveled a lot. So I stayed 2 weeks in LA, 2 weeks in San Francisco, 2 weeks in Chicago. I absolutely love Chicago.
Oh,
I
nice. I
loved it.
lived there for 4 years after college. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was,
it's
yeah.
amazing. Amazing. Well, amazing summer. I was not there in winter. I was there
Right.
for Chicago Day,
Yeah.
for the what they call? It's
Which
something days. Uh,
um
I
is,
there
was
is a
it like
there's
a
a
Chicago
festival.
specific or
Yeah,
like
no,
a
it's in
US holiday?
Chicago, and there is an area that they close, and Market Days, I think it's called, the
Oh,
Jewish
market days.
festival.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
amazing. I loved it.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And then I stayed 2 weeks in New York, LA, San Francisco, Chicago, and Boston.
Hmm.
But I find Boston very boring. Sorry to anyone from Boston.
That's amazing. I have a
It was
friend
too much.
who, yes, had to study there for a couple of years, and yeah, he hated it.
Oh
He
yeah, I
lives in
thought.
Florida now.
Yeah. Oh, I see. I went to Disneyland
Oh, yeah.
2 years ago. Yeah,
Hmm.
with my nephews and my
Awesome.
sister and her husband. So we were there for 10 days. Um, After that, I decided I don't want to have children.
That's
No, Disneyland
amazing.
that weekend, no.
Yes.
It was amazing. The
Yeah.
castle, the whole Cinderella, the Mickey Mouse. It
Right.
was but I ticked the box. I'm not going back. It
Yes.
was great. But that was
Yeah.
it.
That's
Yeah,
so great.
yeah.
Yeah, Disney's a hard thing because it's like so great. And I have a very young daughter. She's 2.5, so she hasn't been there for real yet. But just the kids that you see, it's like even if they're at an age to appreciate it, they just get so exhausted. So it's like there's gonna be
Too much going
meltdowns.
on for them, right?
Yeah, it's so much like stimulation and like just so, and the heat especially too. And it's like So yeah, at some point they're gonna have a meltdown, especially if they miss their nap. Like sometimes you see them passed out in their strollers or what the prams. But
The rides are amazing, but it
mhm,
just takes so long. And I went because of my
right.
nephew. Um, I don't think I would have gone. I went to Disneyland Paris.
Oh yeah, how is that?
When I was three of us. But then it was different. It was three of us. We were
Hmm.
young and we were there for fun,
Right.
and then we went clubbing at night. So it was
Oh,
a slightly
cool.
different
Different
in
trip.
Paris, yeah, you can compare. It's very small compared, obviously,
It
compared to
is.
Florida, but it's still
Okay.
nice. Yeah.
Yes. So I have questions about your hobby of traveling. Okay. So first I want to know, what age did you start traveling is one question. Like, when did this whole obsession start? And then also, because you've traveled so many places, so I'll say this question is coming from me personally because I fell in love with England at the age of 14. So every chance I get to travel, I want to go back. I call it my homeland. I go back to England. So I don't really branch out and visit anywhere else. So my question is, like, when you visited so many places, how are you planning these trips? Like, how are you deciding where you're going to go on this trip? And like, are you planning all of it? Are you like an expert, basically travel agent for yourself
Uh,
now?
uh, so my husband and I have an agreement so we
Okay.
visit 5 new countries every year.
That's
So
so great.
we can repeat, but I think we're lucky because in England it's so easy to go,
It
an
is.
hour, 2 hours, you
Mm-hmm.
are, in a different country. But we agree every year we go to at least 5 different countries.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we always end up repeating. We always go to Spain. We always go to Barcelona,
Okay.
which is,
Okay.
we always go, yeah. But so that's the number one. But it's funny. I think because I run my business and the agreement, in a way, the agreement we have is because my husband is a lawyer, so
Mm-hmm.
he loves the detail and he loves the planning.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what we agree on is, I know because I'm an entrepreneur, like I set the budget. That's normally how it works.
That's great.
Yeah, and then I say, okay, so the hotel, the maximum spending is this, the restaurants
Mm-hmm.
is that, and, so we kind of and then he has the freedom because then I'm not patient. Like
Right.
I probably book the first thing that comes. I don't
Yep.
like doing this
Same here.
and
Yeah,
he
it
loves it.
stresses me out.
So he absolutely loves it. So for me, going on holidays, like I'm on holiday. But I can't complain. So I'm
Right.
not allowed. If anything doesn't go, if I don't like the food, if I don't like the hotel,
I
I'm
love it.
not allowed to complain because otherwise I have to do the research.
That's
but
amazing.
but we always end up, yeah, we always end up in good places. We always stay on Airbnb. I love
Mhm.
the idea. It's always a flat instead of
Mhm.
just a hotel room. So we always,
Right.
it's almost like we stay very local in a way because we stay in
Mhm.
an apartment. Like we went
Right.
to Turkey, the
Mhm.
place, it was just like we lived in Turkey,
Oh,
in
cool. Yeah.
Istanbul. We saw the neighbor, we spoke to the neighbor, so it was that.
Mhm.
And I think staying on Airbnb gives that opportunity. So
Mhm.
I don't plan anything. The only thing that we choose, I normally give a list and I say, look, these are the countries that we should go.
Right.
Pick five, and then
Mhm.
this is our budget, and it works really well. It's I think
That's so
we
cool.
don't try to take over, and he has his skills, I have my.
Right.
But then when we are there,
Mhm.
so if we are somewhere, because then I think, I don't know, as I'm Brazilian, or I work in marketing and I'm
Mhm.
talkative, I make local friends. So if we go out,
Oh,
I
yeah.
start conversating with people. I ask them
Yes.
questions. Like we went to Russia. I have a crazy story. We were in
Yeah.
Russia and we got lost in Moscow.
Mhm.
And then I saw this guy on the street and I said, "Oh, do you speak English?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Where you?" I asked what the street was, and he said, "Oh, I'm not local." And I said, "Where are you from?" And he was from Chile. And I was
Oh.
like, "Oh my God, I'm Brazilian." And then he was like, "Oh my God." And then we talk, 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 talk. And he said, "Oh, my boyfriend is coming. We're going to have lunch there." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm." And then his boyfriend was Russian,
Oh
told
my
us where he
gosh.
was. We dropped the bags, had lunch with them. and then they invited us for their house party that was happening the following day. And there was
Oh
like
my,
50 people. He was a journalist in this amazing apartment
oh
in
my
Moscow.
God.
We had
That's
an
so
amazing,
great.
all because I was there asking information on the
Right,
street.
right,
And then we just, obviously he was Chilean, I'm Brazilian, in Russia,
right.
what
That's
a,
so
but
great.
we had a, yeah, and then we made friends with a couple. So she was Italian and he was from somewhere in South America. The following day they spent the day showing us Russia,
Oh my
showing
gosh.
Moscow,
Yeah, yeah.
because they lived there, they were studying there. So we had
Hmm.
the most amazing time in Moscow, all
That's so
because I asked one on the street for information.
right.
So
Yeah,
I
that's
think it, but
amazing.
I think the key thing when you travel,
Hmm.
and I always, that's I always tell people, is don't go with any preconception. Like, for
Okay.
example, a lot of people come to England
Hmm.
and they come with the preconception that English people are cold. And
Hmm.
because English people are cold, because you think they're going to be cold, you then behave in a cold
Hmm.
way. So what
Right.
happens is the person responding to you will respond on
Exactly.
how you are interacting with them.
Right.
I go with because I always have a good time,
Hmm.
because I'm open and because I'm friendly and I come with a
Right.
smile. You can't get, like, no
Yeah.
one is going to respond. Obviously, I know who I'm approaching, right? So
Right.
it's
Right.
not just anyone on the street. So you have the right place, you have the right
Right.
setting, the right place, and the right people to go and
Right.
talk to. But there hasn't been a trip that we didn't have an amazing time. And like, I come back with 10 people on my Facebook and on my WhatsApp,
That's
and
so
because of,
fun.
yeah, yeah. And that's why we love traveling. It's fun
Right.
to meet people and to make friends, and learn the language. And you always end up, and then people tell you where to go, the type of restaurants, and that
Hmm.
only locals know.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So what languages do you speak then besides English
So
and Portuguese?
yeah, so Portuguese is my first language.
Hmm.
Spanish used to be my second before I left,
Okay.
before I moved to England. And then
Hmm.
now, because I speak more English than Spanish, so it's Portuguese, English, Spanish. I
Okay.
tried French because
Yeah.
we go to France a lot. They have a house in south of France. My husband has a house in, but
Hmm.
it was hard. The pronunciation
Yeah.
is so difficult.
Really
And
hard.
I think as you learn, as an adult, it's much more
Hmm.
difficult for you to learn a language.
Right. Right.
And I didn't put enough effort. I love hearing French. I love the
Uh-huh.
food. I love the weather. I love everything about France, apart from
Right.
the French. No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. I love that. Yeah.
That's great. Well, so does your husband speak multiple languages too?
Yeah, so it's very unusual because he's English, and
Hmm.
well, he did his dual degree. So he
Hmm.
did part in England, part in France. So he studied in
Oh.
Lyon. So he speaks French fluently,
Oh,
and
perfect.
then he learned a little bit of Portuguese because it's all
Hmm.
Latin. Knowing some words in French, you change the pronunciation a bit, and then it becomes a
Hmm.
Portuguese word. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, so that's
Well,
nice.
well, that works. So then you don't have to know French when you go there because you've got him.
Mhm.
It's your
Pretty
translator.
much, pretty much. Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
So when did you start traveling like this so much? Like
Oh,
how
okay, yeah. So
many
you asked me that.
years? Yeah, it's okay. I asked like a bunch of questions together.
So I started traveling. I think it was after. So I moved here in 2001, and I think it was 2000, end of 2002, um, 2003 that I started.
Hmm.
I think by 2007, because then my property business was doing really well. That's when
Right.
I started traveling a lot.
Hmm.
Um, and it was funny because it was always my boyfriend who planned the trips. I always made sure
That's
that they
great.
would they
Yeah,
would
yeah.
end up with that task.
That's great. So
Yeah.
were the trips always been like for fun trips or are any of them ever business related?
No, I had a few business. When I had my property business, I used to rent flat shares or
Hmm.
house shares,
Hmm.
and a lot of them had students. So I used to go to France a lot for student fairs.
Okay.
Huge. Sometimes it was 2 days and 10,000 students
Oh,
would
wow.
come. So I had a stand because it was
Hmm.
accommodation for students. So that was fun.
Hmm.
So I think for business, I've been, and I've, I spoke in, I was a speaker in different events. I went to
Mm-hmm.
Bulgaria, China. China was the biggest talk I've ever given. It was 950 people in the audience. So they flew me there to represent migrant entrepreneurs from the
Right.
UK. So it was the
Cool.
World Entrepreneurship Forum. So there
Mm-hmm.
were a few trips for business, but the majority, I would say probably 90% of them, is always fun.
Okay. That's really nice then.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And you said when you had the like the real estate business, you say you I know in your TED talk you talk about how it went really well, but did you just get tired of it? Is that the job that you say you got kind of tired of, burnout on?
Yes. Yeah. They say that for entrepreneurs, your business is your baby.
Mm-hmm.
So my baby grew up and it was
Mm-hmm.
18 years old, and it was time to kick them out of the house to go to uni because we had enough. So that was so,
That's amazing.
and I didn't see that coming. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, because I then after that I went into depression and it was really bad
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
then I tried a business, I lost a lot of money, and I kind of lost my identity because I couldn't make things work.
Right.
So it was very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very difficult period of my life. 2000, I would say 2016, 17, or maybe mid 2016 to mid 18. It was the worst
Mm-hmm.
time of my life.
Really?
Yeah, so I had to do therapy. I went into
Mm-hmm.
medication. It was difficult. It was obviously I only got better, and
Mm-hmm.
I share with people now because a lot of people, they suffer from depression, but they don't want to admit,
Yes.
and
I'm
they don't want to see it,
mm-hmm.
and they don't talk to people, and it
Right.
just gets worse. And
Right.
until you admit to yourself that you have a problem, and then you should
Mm-hmm.
be looking for help.
Right.
So the number one thing to do is start talking, and if you can't talk to people around you, there are
Mm-hmm.
websites like BetterHelp, for example,
Right. Right.
betterhelp.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can go, and it can be even anonymous if you don't want to see the therapist. But the key thing is start talking, because the monster is always bigger in your head.
Right.
Then when you start verbalizing it, it's not as bad as you think or sound.
Right.
So and I think because my husband says I overshare,
No,
and I think
I'm yeah.
because I think I share, and that period of my life was so dark that now I talk about it. It took me
Mm-hmm.
many years to be able to, after doing therapy,
Mm-hmm.
to admit that I had that problem, and then start talk openly, because only when you get over something
Mm-hmm.
completely, you're able to talk about it without any resentment. It's just like,
Right.
when you break up with someone
Mm-hmm.
and you're heartbroken, you can't talk about that bastard. But
Right, right.
once you get over the feeling and you're not angry anymore, and then you can talk about that person, then you can talk about the
Mm-hmm.
name again, because you have
Right.
no resentment anymore. And I
Right.
think with depression is that only when you're
That's
completely over it and you understand the problem, because what I want is to help others to understand
mm-hmm.
that, until you admit you have a problem and you look
Right.
for help, you're going to be in that dark place. I was there, and I know what it's like.
Right. And I fully agree. So I also overshare. And I'm all about talking openly about mental health and like helping trying to help destigmatize it and everything. But so I mean I'll reference my psychiatrist or therapist or whatever just like offhand in the conversation like it's any other doctor. But yeah, so I have like general anxiety and like some depression, and I have therapy and I have a psychiatrist. Like everything goes hand in hand. I have like a lot of really good entrepreneurial like women like female support groups, like mastermind class type stuff. And so I feel like everything plays into it. But I agree that if you keep it inside, so part of it is the monster depression is telling you in your head not to tell anyone. Like the
Yes.
voice in your head, it's basically lying to you and telling you, that you just lay there, don't bother anybody, like it'll, yeah, you just don't want to bother anyone with it, so just keep it to yourself and be like a good little soldier. And yeah, but once you finally start talking about it, like that is the hardest part,
Mm,
because you have to go against what the voice in your head is saying. So I fully
yes.
agree.
Yeah. And there are
um,
lots of groups out there.
mhm,
There are groups on Facebook of people sharing. So even if you don't want to share, but take the step to see, because you are not alone. A lot of the
mhm,
times we think that we are so problematic.
right.
You don't want to bother people, but then you go on Facebook. There are lots of people there that are sharing. I don't know in the US, but in the UK there
Mhm,
are Samaritans. And
mhm,
when I told friends that I called Samaritan, it's like, why did you call them and didn't call me? And it was
right.
like, because you don't understand what I was
Mhm,
going through. I didn't want to share with anyone close to me. I needed a
right.
stranger just to
Mhm,
hear, to without
right.
judgment, without
Right.
and I don't know how what is called in the US. Here is called the Samaritans that you can call.
Yeah, so
And
I
someone,
don't know if they've changed the name. I just now realized it doesn't sound really great. Ours is called the suicide hotline or helpline. Like
oh,
it's
okay,
yeah.
okay,
So that's what ours is called.
yeah, because it's not always you're suicidal though. Sometimes it's
I know
just,
it's not. Yeah, I know it's not, but yeah, that's kind of I think that's kind of the main
I see.
number that we've been taught. But
Okay.
yeah, but that's really great though that you did that because again, when you're depressed, like it takes so much energy to
Ah,
even
I,
make the call. Like,
yeah, yeah.
it's a lot of yeah, a lot of energy and mental strength. So, good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. But I also believe in talking about it a lot because so when I had my daughter a couple of years ago, I ended up having postpartum depression pretty shortly after I had her, and went through all that and like therapy and medicine and different things. But when I came out of it, I decided to like I didn't keep it too much of a secret, but I definitely wasn't putting it online or anything. But so once I felt like I was ready, I wanted to kind of share my story. So I wrote out this thing on Facebook and thought, like, well, it's therapeutic for me. I don't know if anybody cares, but, and it was amazing to see how many people that I know or have known through the years that chimed in that they had the same thing. And it's like people like you think because your friend never told you about it, you're like, oh well, they must have been fine, they didn't have it. So I feel like that's another one that moms need to talk about openly and like without any shame. It happens.
Yeah.
Like it's not your fault. It's okay. But yeah, because there's friends that I had kids several years before me and I had no idea that they were going through that. So yeah, so I feel like it's always good
And
to
it's funny
share
because
because you
it's
don't know
only
who
when you
it's
start talking about it that you then real, and then people come and talk to you, but nobody talks about it. It's
exactly.
like it's like the elephant in the room. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
yeah. So I think it's always good to share because you never know who it's going to resonate with and
yeah.
help in that moment. Yeah.
I still receive a lot of, because in my TED talk, I talk about it, and I
Mm-hmm.
talk,
Right.
and I still receive messages from people, on
Really.
Facebook, and yeah, they go on
That's
my personal
awesome.
website to share with me, and
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing because obviously you don't know who's watching, you don't know
Mm-hmm.
the situation that people are going through, and I think that's why it was important for me to share, to see, look,
Mm-hmm.
just because you see I won 7 awards and I'm in the Sunday Times and I've given a
Mm-hmm.
TED talk, my life
Right.
hasn't been always, this amazing
Right.
success, and there's always
Right.
happiness, and
Right.
everybody goes through, it's life is a roller coaster, and I think,
Right.
but obviously, what you see on social media is that everybody just have fun and everybody just
Right.
have an amazing time, and everybody,
Right.
life's
But it's
perfect and
not
nobody.
right, right. But that's
Yeah,
not the
yeah,
full story. So it's
no,
good. Yeah, it's good to like hear little, doses of reality
yeah,
that
yeah,
people have been through.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, so that's good. I didn't know we were going to talk about that, but I like it. I'm glad we did. um, so let's see. So I'm going to ask you now one of my favorite questions. We'll see what you've got. Do you have any ghost or alien stories or anything that's happened that's unexplained or someone that's told you a story? I mean,
Cool.
you're in a house that's from the 1300s.
Yeah, well, I get so scared of this house.
That's
Yes,
great.
it's there are lots of noises in this
Yeah.
house, but apparently what I was told is obviously is the pipes and the wood
Mm-hmm.
that move.
Sure.
Yeah. So I just want to believe that is that, and I go to bed early so I don't have to hear anything. Um, Ghost
That's
stories.
amazing.
Let me just
Yeah.
think.
Well, I guess because you are in England, so it's kind of a different. I feel like it's a
No,
different feeling
I have.
over there.
Well,
Like we
I
have
don't know if this
scary
is a.
ghost. I don't know if England
Yeah, I
does.
don't know if this is a ghost story,
Mhm.
but when I was 14, 15,
Mhm.
I suddenly I started having this what do you call, like pins and needles in my body,
Oh yeah.
and I would pass out.
Oh my gosh.
And once I pass out on the street, like on the
Yeah.
pavement.
Wow.
So after that happened 3 times, I think I was 14 at the time. My mom decided to take me to hospital, to all kinds of,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
brain scans and heart scans, and nothing came. And then one day, this old woman told my mom that I had a spirit that was trying to take my body. It was a bad spirit.
Whoa.
Oh my God. And I was 14 at the time. I still get goosebumps when I remember it. It was so, this is so serious. Anyway,
Yeah.
so we went to this, what do you call the, it's called white. I don't know if it's quite, I don't know the translation exactly.
Mhm.
It's called white, they call it white magic, white, whatever it is white. And
Oh,
it's not
okay.
marble. It's normally, so it's
Mhm.
a table, it's a round table that you go,
Mhm.
and you have the mediums, people
Mhm.
that can
Right.
receive. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I had one in each side holding my hand, and suddenly this woman started going all kinds of breathing, and I was 14. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I'm shitting myself. Like
Yeah,
I
you can
was
say.
like,
I mean, yeah, you can say it.
oh my God. So this woman started breathing, and then she said that there was a spirit that was trying to get my attention.
Whoa.
And so the whole thing came up that someone in my family
Mhm.
had killed himself many years
Oh.
ago.
Mhm.
And apparently it's a bad thing that, when
Mhm.
you kill yourself, you don't
Right.
go to heaven, because you stop, I think you stop the journey of life,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
because everyone has a time here, that
Right.
was the explanation. And
Right.
when you do that, you then stay in purgatory, I think is the word.
Yes.
And you
Yeah.
stay, so your spirit stays with
Mhm.
us, right? So
Mhm.
it doesn't go to hell or heaven.
Right.
And some of these spirits can get so heavy or negative, and
Mhm.
depending on how weak you are, they
Mhm.
can cling on to you and suck your energy. And that's
Oh
what
my
was happening to
god.
me.
Oh my god.
So we had to do all kinds of things that, pray this and 7 prays of that, and go to
Yeah.
church for
Yeah.
this and go to. So after going to this medium several times,
Yeah.
and I had bathing of herbs,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
kinds of things. So it worked,
Yeah.
and then it stopped. So, but it took a
That's
while. It took several sessions,
wow.
but it was the scariest thing.
That
So
sounds so scary.
until today, I don't go to meet. I'm so
No.
scared of seeing people receiving spirits and talking to them,
Right. Right.
so I don't know if this is a ghost story, but this is
No, that yeah,
scary.
that's an unexplained like that that's better than just a ghost story.
It is something
Sorry
that I
that
actually
yeah,
did.
I'm sorry that that happened to you, but that's an amazing story.
Oh, okay. So it's yeah, it
Wow.
was, and I still got goosebumps of fear,
Yeah.
talking
Like
about
what
it.
were you thinking as a 14-year-old? Like was this your
Ex-
like did your mom have to talk you into going to this thing? Like did
yeah.
you
So
yeah.
she went with me, because Brazilians, I think Brazilians are they're very religious, right?
Mhm.
So they're Catholic.
That's
I
right, that
think now it's
Catholic.
almost
Yeah.
50-50,
Okay.
Catholic and um
Is it
what do you call
Protestant?
the other one?
Pro
Protestant,
yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. But also there is a huge influence from African religions,
Mhm.
and some of those African religions can be, like killing goats and drinking blood and
Oh,
killing
right.
chickens,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
it has
yeah.
that kind of influence.
Right.
And
Mhm.
oh my God, do not take me to those places. I've been as an adult. So
Yeah.
when I was 18, I was doing journalism at
Mhm.
uni, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
finish my uni because then I left to come to the UK.
Mm-hmm.
But part of studying journalism, one of the things that we studied was anthropology and sociology. This is all part. And one of the works, one of the assignments we had to do was about religion. So we
Mm-hmm.
decided as a group to experience different religions. So we
Right.
went to the mass, and
Mm-hmm.
then we went to a Protestant mass, and then one of them was this, I can't remember the name of this religion,
Mm-hmm.
and it was this cult with fire, and it was killing a
Oh my
chicken
gosh.
in head and
Yeah,
drinking the
yeah.
blood.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
God, it was so scary.
Oh
And
my
then we
gosh.
wrote a report, on that.
Right.
But it's amazing, and because I think what I understand about religion is it's your faith. It's whatever
Mm-hmm.
you believe
Right.
that is so strong, and you make it happen, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you say
Right.
that drinking this chicken blood is going to save you from whatever, is going to
Right.
heal, it's not the act of
Right.
drinking the blood.
It's
It's
that
your faith.
it's how
It's you
strong the
believing.
belief.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
as an adult, I then start exploring a lot of religion,
Mm-hmm.
and I, even though I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious, if you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean. So
Yes,
I
I
do believe that
understand.
there's a
Mm-hmm.
I do believe in God. I do
Mm-hmm.
believe there's an energy, there's a high energy that we have, and because sometimes there are people that you like or dislike straight away, and I think
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
dislike is when the energy doesn't really, there is something
Yeah.
about that energy that clashes with mine. That's
Mm-hmm.
why you don't understand why, but you just don't like that person.
Right.
So I do
Right.
my rituals, I do my prayers. I ask. I truly believe in good energy. I have my crystals. I have my
Mm-hmm.
candles. So, but I think because I believe, that's what my husband says, because you believe it and your faith is so
Right.
strong. Therefore, I make that good energy to flow because that's what I
Mm-hmm.
believe, right? So
Right.
I think it's all down to the person. And
Right.
I think, unfortunately, some of figures that they develop the power
Mm-hmm.
of influencing people, then they
Right.
say, give me money and you're going to be cured,
Yes.
give me this, and
Mm-hmm.
which is then I think is wrong. But
Right.
that's, yeah.
Right. And I don't know if you guys have this over in England, but like I feel like Americans, we have things called mega churches that like have like thousands of people, and like they'll broadcast them on TV. Like before COVID was a thing, they, had like these yeah, just television, like TV preachers, and they're always telling you to, send in your money, and they tell you it's like planting the seed or whatever, but really they're just getting
Yes.
rich.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if that was just an American thing or if you had a
Yeah,
version of
in
that
England,
over there.
no, but we have in Brazil. We don't have it so much in England.
Okay.
Not on TV, but we have the mega churches here. Yes.
Okay. You
Yeah.
do.
And I think
Okay.
and I think there is a lot of influence, especially in the African community, in the
Hmm.
Caribbean community, but also the South American community. It's very
Mm.
big.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I'm thinking of the Church of England. Have you been to some services in the Church of England?
I have, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's I think the key difference in the Church of England is, as far as I remember, there are no saints around. There are no
Correct.
figures of
Right.
saints.
Yeah, it's not, yeah, yeah, like compared
Yeah,
to
you have a
Catholicism.
Jesus. You have a
Hmm.
Jesus there, and
Yep.
so. But that's from what I remember. I'm not too religious, but that's one thing that comes to mind is there
Hmm.
is no adoration of anything else apart
Right.
from Jesus and God.
Right. So, okay, I have to ask you, since you're in England, what are your thoughts on the royal family? You can probably guess what my thoughts are, but,
Yeah, well, I
but
don't
I
know if you
love
know, but
hearing everyone's take.
I had dinner with the Queen,
Oh
so
my gosh, you did! I
yeah,
forgot. I can't believe
yeah,
I needed to ask you this. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
no.
Yes, tell us the story.
So I had, when I first arrived, I in a house party, I met someone.
Hmm.
He doesn't like me telling his real name
Okay.
because now he knows that I give a lot of interviews. So let's call
Right.
him John. It's not John, but
Hmm.
he works for the Queen. So he was
Oh
the
wow.
manager for beverage and food for the Queen.
Hmm.
So when we started dating, the first 3 months, I didn't know what he did.
Oh,
It was
wow.
very funny. And I could barely speak English anyway. Probably he told me and I didn't understand.
That's great.
So yeah, and so that was back in 2002. And after a year dating, he said, "Oh," and then I found out he works for the Queen,
Hmm.
and I had access to all palaces and castles, so I visited them all.
That's
I
so cool.
I don't know, you've been to London, right?
Yes, yeah, I've
Yeah.
been, yeah, a handful of times. Hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. Have you ever been to the Royal Albert Hall? Do you know where the Royal
No,
Albert
I
Hall is?
know of it, but I haven't been there.
Uh,
Mm-mm.
yeah, so it's a huge concert hall,
Hmm.
stunning, absolutely huge. And the Queen has a private box
Hmm.
there.
Right.
And when the Queen is there, there is a crown that gets lit. So they know that the Queen is in the box.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Nice.
So the artist needs to bow before starting if he sees that the
Oh,
crown
right.
is lit. Yeah.
Hmm.
So when I went to Royal Albert Hall several times, I stayed in the Queen's box. So it was, yeah.
So
So
cool.
that was really cool.
That's so
Um,
amazing.
yeah, but you receive, there is all kinds of protocol, how
Hmm.
polished your shoes have to be, how your tie has. So it's
Oh,
all,
right.
there is you receive a list of ticking
Oh, I'm
boxes to
sure.
make sure
Hmm.
because you're representing
That's what
her.
I was saying. Yeah, you're representing, yeah, the
Yeah.
queen, so you have to.
So at the end of the year, the Queen has a private dinner with all
Hmm.
her 600 personal staff,
Hmm.
and they are all allowed to take their partners. So that's when I met the
Oh my
Queen
gosh.
in 2002. Yes,
That's so
and it
cool.
looks like a wedding.
Yeah.
It's several tables, and it was so. I remember everything. I remember what I ate. I remember when she
Yeah.
came to talk to me, and I remember everything.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so
Did
it's
you,
like
was it like, did you line up to meet her or did she
yeah,
come to
yeah,
tables?
yeah.
Okay, you lined up. Yeah,
So
okay.
so we all had drinks. It was inside
Hmm.
Buckingham Palace. So
So cool.
have you visited Buckingham Palace
Yeah.
during summer? Have you
Yes, I
been
have.
inside?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
been able to tour
So
inside. Yeah.
yeah, so there is a play that is one of the rooms called the Picture Gallery. I don't know if you
Hmm.
remember this.
I'm
It's
not
where
sure if
she
I do.
has, I think she is she has the biggest collection of private paintings in the world. And the
Oh, wow.
Picture Gallery is where most of the paintings are. And that's where we had dinner, which was,
Hmm.
it was incredible.
Oh, cool.
So we all have drinks, and then when she arrives, and then we all sit down
Hmm.
for dinner, and then when we finish after, which was amazing, for tea and coffee, the
Hmm.
biscuits were little crowns,
Oh my
and they had
God.
white dots at the top of the crown. It was surreal. It was surreal.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then you always stand and you make a line, and she comes and talks to everyone.
Hmm.
Yeah, uh,
Wow.
yeah, apparently she was a little bit tipsy when she came talk to us.
I
She
love
loves
it.
the gin and tonic.
I know. I've heard she's gin and tonic.
Yeah, she loves the gin and tonic.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah, and then
That's,
she asked me if I enjoyed the food, and
hmm.
then I said yes. We rehearsed so much in case she came talk to, because he said she will come and talk to us because
Right.
he saw her almost on a daily basis, right?
Right. Right.
So she said she will come and talk to us, so she will ask you a few questions, and
Right.
and then I was learning how to bow,
That's what I'm
what to
saying. Don't you, do you have
say.
to say like, do you say like mom, ma'am, mom? What is it that you say? What
Yeah,
do you
I
call her
actually
after
said,
yeah,
I said Your Majesty.
your majesty?
Yeah,
Okay. All
yes,
right.
yes.
Okay.
So she asked me if I enjoyed the food, and then I said yes. She said, well, you have to thank John for that because he's the one who chooses it.
Oh my gosh.
And then she said, does he cook at home? And then I
Oh my
said,
gosh.
sometimes. Yeah, it was just,
Oh,
it was
you're just, yeah,
lovely. It
chatting
was
with
just,
the queen. I love it.
yeah, it was just such a, it was surreal. It was
Yeah.
absolutely surreal. Like I had just arrived in my first year, and then
Right.
I visited Sandringham Palace,
Oh yeah,
Sandringham
Sandringham. Hmm.
Castle, Windsor Castle. I had a picnic in Windsor
Oh my
Castle.
god.
At the Tower of London. You've probably been to the Tower
Yes.
of London.
Yep. Yeah, a few
You had
times.
the
Hmm.
jewelry.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
crown jewels. Hmm.
I saw there a few times.
Oh my
I had
gosh.
drinks there. There are places for the
Oh,
staff.
cool.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know, but when you're looking at Buckingham Palace,
Hmm.
so the front windows are always staff, and nobody knows where her room is
Oh, okay.
because if
Right.
they bomb the palace, they
Right.
bomb the rooms of the staff first.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So
Oh my
apparently nobody
goodness.
knows. Yeah, very only very few people know
No, which room?
exactly where her room is.
Do
Yeah.
you know how many rooms are in the palace? Do you happen to know?
No, I can't remember if it's 400. Um,
Wow.
I think, yeah, but because all the rooms you have all the rooms for staff
For
as
sure.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but I can't remember exactly,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's
Was
yeah.
was Prince Philip there with her at the dinner,
He
or was
was,
she?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I met her twice. So met her then, and
Hmm.
then it was 2002. It was the coronation. So
Oh.
I had tea in the
Hmm.
afternoon in Buckingham Palace Gardens.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Oh my
was
goodness.
so that was also very nice.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, that's amazing. Thank you for those stories.
No
I
problem.
can't believe that I almost forgot because
No,
you
no.
had like mentioned it just so like flippantly in one of your messages, like, "Oh yeah, I'll have to talk about dinner with the Queen," and then it was like a week or something ago, and I totally
Yeah, I
spaced.
have the story if you want I can share because I run
Yeah.
I have a magazine in London called High
Mm-hmm.
Profile Magazine,
Mm-hmm.
and one of my covers was the Queen, and then I shared the story. I
Yeah.
show I even put it because a lot of people ask, it's like, oh, because you received I received an invitation
Mm-hmm.
signed by her, so
That's
it's
so
all in the
cool.
article.
Right.
I put on the a link there if you
Hmm.
want so people can
Yeah,
read the
please.
story as
That would
well.
be super cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really like the detail that you said the biscuits even were like little crowns with like white dots on, because I'm thinking that like as Americans or outside of the palace, like if we were doing some kind of royal themed, there would be stuff that would be crown shaped, right? But
Oh,
and so
completely.
I'm like, but so for the palace itself to do it when the queen's there, like I just think that's adorable that even they make like
But there are
crown
lots of
shaped cookies.
I think the attention to detail is amazing because, for example, the juice they were serving, well, it wasn't juice, it was elderflower,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was from Prince Charles
Oh
Gardens.
my gosh.
Do you know what I
Wow.
mean? So it's kind of a the so because you had a not just the menu, there was a little booklet on the table explaining where everything came from and how it was
Hmm.
made. It was beautiful.
Wow.
It was stunning. And the chick I remember because it was chicken breast
Hmm.
that we had, and under the breast it was applesauce. So it was
Really?
breast, and then you had the skin. So under the skin on the breast, it was
Hmm.
where the sauce was. It was
Hmm.
unbelievable. So I don't know if they inject because like it's 1,200 people eating. How did they
Right.
do one by one to put the sauce under the skin? I was like, my God, it's a lot of people, a lot of work.
That, oh my goodness. Yeah, that's, I can't imagine. So for people who, think that the royal family shouldn't exist, or, a lot of people are, or, whatever. There's a fair amount of people that are not fans of the royal family, that,
Oh,
complain
I
about.
think they bring a lot of money to the country. I know they take a
Exactly.
lot. I know they probably, all the land and all the money, but
Right.
there is so much tourism,
It is.
with the royal family
Right.
and everything around it.
Right.
All the hotels, all the rest, people that come
Right.
to see. My mom when she came the first time, that was the first thing she said. I want to see the change of the guard.
Right.
I want to go to Buckingham Palace. So it's
Exactly.
people fly to be able to see that. So the amount and like you visited Buckingham
Right.
Palace,
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
I've been now 4 times
Yeah.
inside,
That's
right?
so cool.
And people come to London to do that. Obviously there are
Right.
millions of other things to do, but
Right.
it's so
But
unique
so
to
many
have
things
something.
are palaces and like actual like current royal family stuff. So, and I think I try to tell people if they talk about that with me. Usually, they're trying to uh, you know, just mess with me because they know that I'm a royalist. So they're just trying to argue the point. But especially if they're American, it's like they don't know, but that they say it wastes taxpayer dollars. I'm like, I would like, do you know where all of our tax money goes to? I would pay for a royal family. Like we have taxes too. So
I think there is a lot more. I think people underestimate how much money they actually bring,
right,
with everything or all the
right,
industries around it.
right,
Not just obviously. it must be very expensive to run the palace and all that. But apart from that, I think, people come to see the palace and the royal family, and
Right.
obviously they watch restaurants, they
Right.
take the tube, they stay in a hotel. There is so much that
Mm-hmm.
it helps, the
Right.
economy in one way or another.
Right. And I
So
think, I try to tell people, like, do you realize how many jobs would be lost? Just
yeah,
like
yeah,
specifically working for the palace, not even the ones that are in tourism, but, as you said, like, all the window, like, there's all rooms of staff, and then some people come in for the day. But I said, I've watched one of the shows I've watched about like the palace and the queen. There was a guy that they talked to who his only job was keeping all of the clocks wound in the palace. His only job is the clock guy. I'm like, if they have a clock guy, like, do you know how many people they have? All of these people would be out of jobs.
yeah.
Like,
And you have people cleaning, cleaning the silver and cleaning the gold and cleaning the
yeah,
shoes, and there is, and obviously there is office people, there's people buying food, and there is that.
right.
I think that is so, and obviously those people working for them, their families depend on them. So it's not just
Mm-hmm.
the immediately people that would lose
Right,
their
right,
job. Yeah. So
right.
I like
So,
them. I think they
yeah,
should stay.
wonderful. Me too. Awesome. Well, okay. So I always say, do you have any final words before we go?
Oh wow. Final words. I think if you're a business owner, my advice is always to one of the things that I learned is that to quit to also be a strategy. So don't
Mm,
see quitting as failure, because I
right.
do it to myself
Mm-hmm.
a lot because of that. So you have your option, your plan A, your plan B, and your plan C should be
Mm-hmm.
I quit. If
Right.
you try, it doesn't work, try something else. If it really doesn't work, then you say, I'm quitting, I'm doing something else. So,
Right.
because a lot of the times you just think, oh, I'm a failure. I don't want to, I know I have to keep pushing. I have to keep,
Right. Right.
if it's not working, just
Mm-hmm.
have that as a strategy. There is a book. And so
Right.
my number two is read a book called The Dip
The
from
dip.
Seth Godin. Yes.
Okay.
Where quitting is a strategy, because
Okay.
I think we expect so much from ourselves, and we get
Yes.
so worried what people are going to say or
Yep.
think,
Mm-hmm.
right? So forget all that. So
Yeah.
have quitting as part of your strategy and read this book,
So,
Seth Godin. And
mm-hmm.
the last one, which I'm reading now because I do coaching, I have a
Mm-hmm.
coach,
Oh,
and
okay.
she changed my life with this book. It's called Taming Your Gremlins,
Oh.
and it's all about understanding your bad behavior, your
Mm.
self-criticism, and
Mm-hmm.
how you learn to manage that to become
Right.
a better person,
Right.
right? So
Right.
taming your gremlin, it's absolutely incredible. It will change your life. So
That
that's
I
my
love the
advice.
title. I love the title. That's amazing. And that's probably the first one you said. The dip is probably a really good one to recommend to Americans, because we definitely have um basically drilled into us from a young age, like, you never give up, you never quit. Like, if you decided to do something, you better stick with it, like that whole thing. And so, and you'll have to, tell everyone that you're a quitter, and, like, that you couldn't do it. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think have that and say yes, I quit, but I chose to quit. It's different from, oh, it
Right.
didn't work, and then it's like, no, I chose. I had enough of that. I
Right.
chose. I'm moving on, because
Exactly.
you end a relationship when you're not
Right.
happy with someone, right? So you say,
Exactly.
well, I quit that relationship. I know,
Right.
for whatever reason. Why can't
Mm-hmm.
you quit? You're trying to sell blue, it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
Stop selling blue, quit
Mm-hmm.
blue, and try yellow.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
So that's, it doesn't have to be completely, just change routes,
Right.
but
Right.
have quitting. Don't see it as a failure, but as
Mm-hmm.
long as it's part of your strategy, and say, I
Right.
will try this and this and this, and if it doesn't work, I'll quit and then try something else.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rafael. This was awesome.
Welcome.
You were a wonderful guest.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. And thank you everyone who ever watched live, and thank you whoever watches later. And as I always say, whoever watches into eternity, because it'll go up on YouTube. So we'll be there forever until the internet shuts down. So Rafael dos Santos of Guided PR, right?
Got it.
Is
Yeah.
that right? Guided PR.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm Amy Mitchell with Houses of Windsor, and this has been Virtual Tea Time with Amy. So thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.